some folks show up, we might do some talking. Is there anybody out there? Where's it go? Something like that. Is there anybody out there? What's up, Jindal? Good morning. Jindal, are you a girl or a boy? I always thought you were a girl because Jin sounds kind of like Jennifer, but it just occurred to me that I don't really know. Are you a man or a woman? You don't have to tell me if you don't. Sure, baby, thank you. Rags to riches, to riches, to rags to riches, to riches, to rags to riches, rags to riches, to riches, to rags to riches, to riches, to rags, quickest to rags to riches, to riches, to rags, the quickest to brag, it's a pat on his back, the quickest to bag. Rags to riches, to riches, to rags. How's that go? Rags to riches, to riches, to rags. The quickest to brag, it's a pat on his back. The quickest to pat the back to get rich quick. It is the benefit with nothing but half of the full spectrum. Positively pure potential gets neglected and rejected while cobwebs collected. I get affected, but I still will fly. Up in your face, I'm high. How are you? Hung up, found to be visibly, physically bone dry. Your fixations are evasive. In the end, they just get lost in a stream of like-minded bad ideas that just run off. The solid matter of fact, like that, down into the big drink, where all water sinks down to its own level. I forget how that song goes. It kind of sucks. It's a bit low. I don't know how to turn it up. Is it low for everybody? Maybe I'll play closer. Is it like lower than normal? My phone's a piece of junk. It's all beat up. I don't know what to do about that. So I hope it's not too low. So low you can't hear it. Dean, tell me, does this sound like the normal volume of my shows? Just by playing some. Or is it too quiet? she. They put it everywhere and anyone can see. At the park, at the playground, radiating all around. At the local farm and drug, you'll see it up above. At the club, at the bar, wherever you are. If you look hard enough, you know you're gonna find the stuff. We're swimming in it. We're swimming in it. Yeah, we're swimming in the sea of directed energy. Thanks to AT&T and 5G. If you go to the store, you might see 3 or 4. At the police department, out the window, your apartment. At the fire station, you can almost taste the radiation. Every city, every town out in the cuts, you bet your ass the place is lit the fuck up. Every street, every boulevard, every avenue, you'll see them at museums, even see them at the zoo. If you're AT&T, there's nothing stopping you. Sometimes they wanna try to be a little more covert. They'll stick it in a flagpole, put it in the cross at church. Sometimes they really just wanna try to hide it, so they'll get creative and try to disguise it. They got those 5G evergreens at the 5G panels that look like a palm tree. Oh yeah, AT&T. We're swimming in it. Swimming in it. We're swimming in a sea of directed energy. Thanks for 5G. Thanks, AT&T. We're swimming in it. Swimming in it. We're swimming in a sea of directed energy. Thanks for 5G. Thanks, AT&T. That was kind of a struggle. I'm trying to do this little foot tapping, but it makes it hard. I can't focus on my the singing, and it's more than one thing. It's tricky, but I like having the percussion edition, But it's like something new for me. I'm trying to get the hang of it. A one-man band, because nobody wants to play with all bass. I don't know how to do this. Can you guys even hear the tambourine? Am I just wasting my time? Hello, Brazil. Nice to hear from you there, Sergio Channel. Or no, Sergio Ribeiro. And there's Kiddo Channel. What's up, Kiddo Channel? You like my 5G song? I kind of played a shitty version of it, but thanks for the comment. It gets stuck in my head too. This song is a palindrome. You know what a palindrome is? It's like the same thing forwards as it is backwards. You know what I'm talking about? Like race car is a famous one, you know. Race car is the same forwards as it is backwards. So I wrote this song as a palindrome, but it's not the same like letters. It's with words, where it's like I say it's a whole like line of a whole string of words, and then I'll sing those same words, but then in a reverse order. So, and the way you know when I'm starting to go backwards is you listen for the word and. So I'll say a whole string of words, and when you hear me say and, that's when I start going backwards. I'll say all the same words that I just said, but just in reverse order. So it's a palindrome. It's a song that's a palindrome. It goes like this. I always have a saw in the background. Maybe might be the best guess for what it's worth, for which its worth is measured. It is how sure we are, and are we sure? How is it measured? Is worth its which for, worth its what for? Guess best the be might maybe. Maybe might be the best guess for what it's worth, for which its worth is measured. It is how sure we are, and are we sure? How is it measured? Is worth its which for, worth its what for? Guess best the be might maybe. Be might maybe. Maybe might be the best guess for what it's worth, for which its worth is measured. It is how sure we are, and are we sure? How is it measured? Is worth its which for, worth its what for? Guess best the be might maybe. Maybe might be, maybe might be. Maybe might be the best guess. Maybe might be. Maybe might be. Maybe might be the best guess. Need something to drink. Maybe I'll try sitting down. Palindrome. I thought it was kind of a fun idea for a song. Maybe might be the best guess for what it's worth, for which its worth is measured. It is how sure we are, and are we sure? How is it measured? Is worth its which for, worth its what for? Guess best the be might maybe. So the first part of the song is like a statement I make. And then it's like it turns into a question. Maybe might be the best guess for what it's worth, for which its worth is measured. It is how sure we are. And are we sure? How is it measured? Is worth its which for, worth its what for? Guess best the be might maybe. guess, best of, B might, maybe. Can you imagine if you just had to speak in palindromes all day long? Long day, all palindromes in speak. You can imagine? No. No. Can you imagine? No. It's can you imagine? Imagine you can. Can you imagine if you just had to speak in palindromes all day long? Long day, all palindromes. Speak to had you if imagine you can. Can you imagine if you just I left out the word just. Can you imagine if you just had to speak in palindromes all day long? Long day, all palindromes and speak you if had just to imagine you can. Did I do that right? I don't know. Fuck that shit. Well, my mom told me, my papa told me to. My mom told me, my papa told me to. Well, I shouldn't be here trying to sing these railroad blues. Wish I had listened to what my mama said. Wish I had listened to what my mama said. Well, I wouldn't be here trying to sleep in this cold iron bed. Jailer, go away now, don't tell me no lies. Mr. Jailer, go away now, don't tell me no lies. Well, that train rolled down, shooter rolling down the line. Fucked it up. Most of the cover songs I know are Grateful Dead songs, so if you don't know any Grateful Dead songs, then you're not going to recognize any of the covers that I do. I just used to love the Grateful Dead so much, I would like follow them around from state to state, city to city, with tens of thousands of other people. It was fun. We'd come into your city and we'd just dominate. It was crazy. It was strength in numbers. We had our own laws that we lived by. And it's just like people had to just deal with it. But we brought so much money that people were like, some cities wouldn't allow the Grateful Dead to come through. I say we, but it's like me and thousands of other people. It just it was a spectacle to behold for sure. I would just play guitar in the Grateful Dead lot and raise money to go see the show, sell grilled cheese sandwiches, and it was like a whole economy in itself, the Grateful Dead lot. If you never heard of it or never been to one, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But they just had so many fans ever since they started. You know, there's like they were like the guys that were there for the LSD experiments right in the beginning when LSD was first being introduced into pop culture. The electric Kool-Aid acid test they would have at Ken Kesey's ranch up in, like, not that far from here, actually, in La Honda. I think it was La Honda. It's like an hour drive from here. They would give the whole party all this acid, and they'd get all fucked up, and the Grateful Dead was like the house band. They would play all this crazy psychedelic jam music. It's a good book to read. That the Electric Kool-Aid Acid test. I forget who wrote it, but it's a good author. I always have some like saws going. There's always some power tool. Always. It's never quiet. I never have a peaceful morning. It's been like that forever. Always a tool grinding something, cutting, chopping, sawing. Always. It's fucking annoying. It makes me not want to do this. For palindrome attempt. Yeah, that was difficult. Can you knock it off? What are they doing? Why do they have to do it now? This song is about artificial intelligence. Hey, I know what AI is. AI is just an eye up in the sky. It's going to spy on you and I and everyone in society. Say goodbye to your privacy. It's the most realistic shit you can get, but it's still fake shit. Don't mistake it for being real. It's not alive. Teach it how to walk, how to talk, how to pick a lock, and how to read your mind. Teach it how to jump rope, how to cook dope, how to tell a joke, but it don't understand the punchline. Teach it how to repeat shit, but can it keep a secret? I don't think so, it won't know why. Hey, I know what AI is. AI is just an eye up in the sky. It's going to spy on you and I and everyone in society. Say goodbye to your privacy. Yeah, it's an algorithmic gimmick, been given no limit, goes all the way out and round and then back in it. The official, artificial, digital idolatry, that's really all it could be. To call it intelligent is intellectual dishonesty. But you can teach it how to play Tetris and chess and checkers and tic-tac-toe. And teach it how to look like it's teaching itself. Hey, look at that shit go. Whoa. We'll teach it that there's nothing new that can be done. Nothing that exists under the sun. Oh, hey, I know what AI is. AI is just an eye up in the sky. It's going to spy on you and I and everyone in society. Say goodbye to your privacy. Yeah. Hey, I know what AI is. AI is just an eye up in the sky. It's going to spy on you and I and everyone in society. Say goodbye to your privacy. It's the most realistic shit you can get, but it's still fake shit. Don't mistake it for being real. It's not alive. Teach it how to walk, how to talk, how to pick a lock, and how to read your mind. Teach it how to jump rope, how to cook dough, how to tell a joke, but it don't understand the punchline. Teach it how to repeat it, but can it keep a secret? I don't think so, it won't know why. It won't know why. Hey, I know what AI is. AI is just an eye up in the sky. It's going to spy on see. Yeah. It's an algorithmic gimmick, been given no limit, goes all the way out, around, and then back in. The official, artificial, digital idolatry, that's really all it could be. To call it intelligent is intellectual dishonesty. You can teach how to play Tetris and chess and checkers and tic-tac-toe. Oh, teach it how to look like it's teaching itself. Hey, look at that shit go. Whoa. I'm kind of over these saws. Is it overpowering my music? It's fucking annoying. Pounding. It's impossible. I can't play along with that shit. So annoying. I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm anymore. I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm anymore. I don't think I have it in me right now. This fucking constant noise over there is bugging the shit out of me. I don't know why. It's gotten to the point where it's like just this sort of like, whenever I come out here and there's like pounding and sawing, I'm like, dude, I don't even want to play guitar out here. It's just so distracting. How dare other people want to make noise? It's my noise to make. Me. It's all about me. I love you, baby. So, yeah. Maybe I'll come inside for a minute. Good afternoon, Ironwork 92,000. What is a 92,000? What is that all about? Can you tell me what you mean by 92,000? Why 92,000? What is that significant of? I'm going to prop you up against my little Elmo doll here. It's Elmo. Elmo wants to dance. Ha 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 hee hee hee. Look out, everybody. The Elmo slide, huh? Yeah, Elmo. You're gonna be my phone prop for a second. Oh shit, he's still doing the slide. Look out. Oh, he's still doing his stick. Ha 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 hee hee hee. My favorite part is his laugh. Are you done now, Elmo? Can I prop this against you without you knocking it over? I'm just gonna fix myself a cup of coffee real quick. I'll still be talking. So I got a lot of people in this show right now. For me, I don't usually have more than like 2 or 3 people watching my show. So there might just be some random strays popping in here, which is cool because now I'm gonna fill your ears with some flat earth. Oh no, not flat earth, he's another flat earther. Yes. And I'll tell you why. Although I do understand the globe earth model pretty well, and I think it's pretty brilliant, and it must have taken a long time to acquire all the information necessary to put that model together, and it's pretty impressive. However, I don't believe the model proves that we're living on a sphere spinning and flying around the sun at 60, 70,000 miles per hour. A big lava ball with a thin layer of dirt on the outside of it with water flying around the sun for billions of fucking years. And the sun's moving through a fucking vacuum at like fucking 500,000 miles per hour or whatever. I don't know how you measure distance in a vacuum over billions of years, but it's been such a stable ride that we've been able to evolve out of lifeless space debris. Pretty impressive story.
I don't know. I mean, I can come up with a better story, and I can tell you what I think's going on. I think we have a creator, but I don't really go by like the Bible. I mean, I think there's a lot of great information in there, but it's just more stories written by people, and I don't know how you can really say that it's God's word necessarily. I mean, it could have been inspired by God, and maybe somebody thought they were talking to God or whatever. I mean, how do you really verify that kind of thing? You just have to take it on faith. That's why it's a spiritual, religious sort of thing, you know, because it's more about faith than it is about like proving something. Although I do believe having a creator seems to make more sense with what we're dealing with here. I mean, for this to have all evolved out of lifeless space debris, just, I mean, that's a pretty wild story. You got to admit, that's pretty hard to swallow. And I think of our life, or our spirit, it's light. It's light energy, which is like energy is light. Like when you see electricity, you see light, you see it's energy. It's all the same shit. And I'll explain what I'm talking about here in just a second. I believe that our souls, our light, there's a physical light there. This might be too much. I don't know if I should go into it. But I think we draw our souls from source. Our light, every soul that's spawned on earth draws directly from this source. Well, what's the source of light? The main source, you know, the sun. I don't think the sun is God. I don't think is Ra-El. Is the sun God? No. It's a good question, but I think the answer is no. I think God made the sun. And I think every soul that's spawned on earth draws its light, its energy from that source. So every soul that's spawned has a corresponding sunspot where their soul used to be. It's a little black spot on the sun today. And the sun doesn't deplete as rapidly as you would think, because people, based on how they live their lives, they'll either go to heaven and become a star, which we see these smaller lights up in the sky, you know. Those are souls that went to heaven. Or you return back to the lake of fire, whatever, the plasma fucking source. You return back there to try again, you know. You get spawned again. And so that way there's still like, it takes a while for the sun to be depleted of souls. Like if everybody went to heaven, then the sun would eventually deplete. There's a finite amount of souls in a sun. And maybe. And I believe we're on our second sun. I think there's a whole sun's worth of souls up in the space, up in the sky, up in heaven. They're not, those stars are smaller than the sun. They're smaller parts of the whole. Like a sun is the main source of light, energy, whatever. People's souls come from the sun. The soul. They call the sun soul. Soul is sun in Spanish, Latin, or whatever. That's where we draw our souls from. And I believe that we see up in heaven at night, we see a whole sun's worth of souls floating around up there. And I think there's some souls from this sun that we have right now that are up there in heaven. But I think we've been through a full sun. I think there's been a whole sun already that's depleted all the way and went dark. And I think the people that were living here on Earth at that time, they saw what was going on, and they realized that the sun was about to go, because it was starting to get pretty cold. And at that point in time, the human civilization had to go underground to stay warm, because there was still warmth down under the ground. Which is why we see just insane amounts of underground dwellings all over the world. It's everywhere. There's all kinds of underground cities and place dwellings.
it's clear that there was a civilization of people that had to go underground to live. And I believe it's because of this. And when that sun finally was depleted of its last soul, the people were kind of ready for it, you know. I think they survived the ice age that ensues, and which would be difficult, but they were ready for it. And so the earth goes cold, you know, and once the oceans start to sort of firm up, they're like freezing. The earth shudders, and it gives birth to a new sun. See, the earth is flat. It's a flat plane. And right in the middle of the earth, there's a North Hole. It's been photographed. I mean, there's photographs of the North Hole. It's just a big black hole. There's like a a place in the middle of the earth right there where the oceans swirl into it, you know, and it's just this hole. And it's where the earth gives birth to a new sun. It pops off an umbilical cord and shoots up into the sky. It's one of the most amazing things you'll ever see. And it activates. As soon as it breaks off its umbilical cord, it shoots up into the sky and boom, it just lights up the place. The ice melts and souls begin to spawn again, you know. And so the old sun is still floating around up there. The people that were living during that sun, all they had up there in the sky was the stars that were going to heaven. They would see them. They were becoming more and more of them. And they didn't have a moon, because a moon is an old sun. You can spot an old sun pretty easily. It's because the sun is like this, you know, they call it like a lake of fire or like a plasma ball. It's something we don't really know, yet we do know because we're made of it. Our soul is of it. But when it goes dark, when it finally spawns its last soul, it's like this fluid sort of bubbling, popping, boiling, like this crazy energy. It's forced to solidify. It cools off really quick. And so all the places on the sun where there was like bubbles popping and boiling, it leaves craters where all those bubbles were. So an old sun will have craters all over it where the bubbles were popping. You know, it's really easy to see. And another way to spot an old sun is you can see its belly button right where the umbilical cord was attached originally. It's easy to see. You just have to know what you're looking for. It has a belly button. Now, it's been said lately that there's fewer sunspots that have ever been witnessed. And I think it's because the birth rate is so low right now. I'm just telling a story. It's fun. Don't mind me. I'm trying to make a point that it's easy to make up a story about the heavens. And you can use real world observations and history and try to tie it all together, you know. Like there's ancient tribes of people that were said to have remembered a time when there was no moon in the sky. Well, how do you explain that? Well, I can explain that because that was from the first sun before the only reason we have a moon in the sky is because we've been through a whole sun's worth of souls. So that old sun is still floating around up there, you know. It doesn't shine like it used to, but it does get charged up by the new sun. The old sun absorbs sunlight. It doesn't reflect it. It absorbs it, and so it charges it up. So it glows at night after the sun's gone away. They say that the moon is made of plasma. Probably because it used to be a sun. And if you look at pictures of the moon, you'll see its belly button. It's pretty easy to see. It's right on the bottom. It stands out. It's not like all the other craters. The belly button stands out. Once you know what you're looking for, you can see it. I'm in the northern hemisphere, where the belly button's on the bottom. I'm led to believe it's upside down in the south, so I'm guessing the belly button would have to be on top. I don't know. I'd like to see a picture of that. Uh, so if what I'm saying about Earth is true, with it being an extended plane, level plane with a big hole in the middle, I believe there would have to be limits to this realm, because we live in a realm of cycles, circles, which implies enclosure. A circle implies enclosure. Like there's limits. There's only so far the sun can go before it returns back over your head. There's only so much Earth it can illuminate as it's making its path, and it travels throughout the year, but it always returns. It's a circuit, it's the most amazing clock. I mean, all clocks and calendars have been modeled after the sky. It's how we do it. We used to be on a lunar calendar. I think we're on a sun calendar now. The lunar calendar is a lot more easy to understand. And I think we'd be like in the year 6,000 something, 6,209 or something like that if you were on a lunar calendar. They can wind back the clock when they do that. I've seen presentations where I kind of get lost in the sauce trying to understand all of it, but these people really believe that they could wind back the clock to the year 0 with the moon calendar. And they believe that we're on the year 6,209 or something like that. It's pretty amazing. I mean, all the data that's been acquired over the time, of human existence, all the eclipses, because it's like the eclipses are viewed in different parts of the world at different times of the year. I mean, there's so much data to acquire because they're a pattern, It's like every 18 years or 19 years or something like that. I don't know. I can't begin to go into all that. I don't know what the pattern is, but imagine how long it would take to acquire all that data, all these patterns, just to first observe them in the first place. And wow, look, there's a phenomenon happening, and then 19 years go by. I was like, oh, look, it's happening again. How many years has it been, and where were you when you saw it, and where were you when you saw this? And I mean, it would take so long. You'd have to have, worldwide civilizations. And I mean, maybe there's some math you can figure out where, I don't know. It's pretty mind-boggling. A brown calendar. I don't know about brown calendar. I never heard that. Yeah, it's funny how the heliocentric model, I mean, it's like the curvature of the Earth and the motion of Earth, the spin, the rotation. It's pretty much moot information. It's pointless to know. You don't have to factor it into your life. Nobody has to factor that into their life here ever at all. You never have to worry about the curvature or the motion, the spin. It's nothing that anybody will ever have to factor into their life. And it's just interesting how it's like information that we're taught, that made to memorize, and it's nothing that bears any relevance. And not only that, it's impossible to measure or detect in any meaningful way, other than just realizing that we're on a cycle. But it doesn't have to be because the Earth is spinning. Like when NASA designs its aircrafts, it's made to use over a flat, non-rotating Earth. And they specify it like that because there is this thing called normal force, where when you measure the direction of force with an accelerometer, there's no force, there's no downward force. The accelerometer shows that it's at rest while it's appearing to fall. And then when it hits the ground, it shows an upwards force. They call that normal force. So if they had to be technical about it, there is an upwards force, however you want to look at it, like whether it's Earth rising, which seems crazy. It would have to be the whole entire system rising. Or it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's pressure. It's like this. I don't know. I mean, that's where I get kind of lost in the sauce again, where I'm just like, well, the thing measures an upwards force. And like any other time it's measuring a force, you can see that it's because it's moving. There's a pressure being exerted on it. And so the only places that it detects force is like when it's sitting on the ground appearing to be at rest, it's measuring an upwards force. When it's falling, it's measuring that it's at rest. And I can see how the thing works. I finally saw an analog accelerometer, and it makes perfect sense how it works. Like the digital one, I was always kind of like, well, I don't really know why it's giving you that reading. It didn't make sense to me until I saw how it works, like the analog one, where it's just like a device that's been made, and it just shows you from which direction there's a force being exerted. And so, I mean, physics addresses it as normal force. Now, they're the upwards rising earthers, who I originally thought were crazy, but now I understand where they're coming from. I still think it's a crazy idea, but if there's actually evidence, or like really what would otherwise be considered proof to, because the accelerometer is just a simple device, and it doesn't lie to you. It tells you where there's a force being exerted. I guess you could say because of weight. The weight is, but you only measure weight because of the upwards force being measured. Like if you're on an elevator going really fast up, being pushed upwards fast, really fast, you would register more on the scale. You would weigh more than you normally weigh, just when you're kicking it. And so that implies that weight is kind of arbitrary based on what kind of force is being exerted under you. If you just have normal force, which is like without like, which is just like this upwards force that we experience as we go about our lives, there's no measurable downward force. The accelerometer shows that it's at rest while it's falling. And the same with like these guys that go in the vomit comet, it's like they call it a paraplegic flight, where they fly up, or not paraplegic, they call it, it's a parabolic paraplegic flight. You could end up being a paraplegic by doing this because it's pretty dangerous. But it's like you go up and then you go paraplegic. You just go, what? You start floating in the air as the plane's descending. It's falling. It's just, so it appears that they're floating because they're in an environment that's falling. But the thing is, they're floating. They're not being pushed to the highest point of the plane. If there was a downward force pushing the plane down, anything inside the plane would be pushed to the highest point in the plane and be pressed against the ceiling or whatever, pressed against the highest point of the plane. And they wouldn't be floating. They wouldn't be able to do anything but just, be pressed against the roof. But the thing is, they don't do that. When the plane's falling, they float, and they can do flips and spins and all these tricks, and like if you were to see an accelerometer while they were doing that, it would show that it's at rest while it's, while everything seems to be falling. It's what they're doing is they're just floating while the earth is rising up to meet them. As crazy as that sounds, that's what normal force is basically implying, that there's a force pushing up, not down. Here we got some uprising earthers in the chat. It's stuff that you can't really argue against. It's just proven fact. Now, as to like how to like actually wrap your mind around the idea of the whole earth moving up at free fall speeds, I mean, it's a bit much to swallow, but you can't really argue with this with the device that's telling you that's what's happening. So you're just kind of, once you really wrap your mind around the argument and see what's being presented, you realize that you're not left with much of an argument, which is crazy, but true. Crazy, but true. But most flat earthers don't like hearing about it because for me personally, like one of the things that I really liked once I discovered flat earth was like, oh, we're not spinning and like all this, crazy motion that I was under the impression was happening. It just went out the window. It just became diffused instantly. I was like, I just felt good. I was like, thank goodness, we're just kicking it. We're not flying through a vacuum. It just felt so much better realizing that. So I was reluctant to want to hear this whole thing about the uprising earth. I mean, just because on its face it sounds crazy, and just the idea of like having to put myself back in motion like that, I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to listen to that. But all the same, I just want to know the truth, and so I kept listening to it regardless of the fact that it seemed crazy. And it's because, once you discover flat earth, you realize that things that seem crazy at first could end up being true. And just the fact that there's enough people that seem to be genuinely, they seem to have something that they genuinely think is true going on, or they seem to know it's true. And so it's once you learn how to read people like that, I mean, you can tell when someone's just pitching like a fucking bullshit idea. It's like it doesn't have legs. There won't be people that want to have anything to do with it, really. I mean, there's plenty of cults in the world, but like when it comes to just looking at like physical demonstrations that show a certain thing, that's not like a cult type thing. It's not like dogmatic. It's just like, well, there it is. You can accept it or not. For me, what made me realize that Earth is a flat plane, or a level plane, an extended plane, is just considering the idea that I always say this on my channel, and probably if anybody's here that's heard me say this, it's probably getting pretty old, but I like to think of the Earth as God's property. It's one big piece of property. It's God's property, and it's wide. Like, you have your own piece of property here. Here's my yard. It's a certain measurement, half an acre or whatever, but you can add more property to that, and it gets bigger. It gets wider. You can add your whole neighborhood. Now you have a wider perimeter, and then you can just keep adding more to that original piece of property, and it just gets wider and wider and wider and wider. And I believe that it just gets wider. You'll never see anything else happen, and it just seems so obvious. The Earth's expanse only widens. And the reason that's significant is because on the globe Earth, this expanse, it might be an imaginary perimeter in your mind, but it's a real measurement. You can go out and like measure a real measurement. Say it's a circumference, I have this circle that's measuring this specific amount of area within it. It might be an imaginary line, but it's real. I mean, you can go mark it on the ground, and there you have a perimeter that's been marked. It's a circumference of this amount of distance, and there's a specific amount of area within it. Then if you were to go around the outside of that circle and make a bigger circle, now it's got that much more of an area within it. And you just can keep doing this exercise, make a bigger circle, now it's got that much more area in it. And the circles just get bigger, because you can't make a smaller perimeter around the outside of another perimeter. You're always going to be in the same situation. You're going to be traveling around the last perimeter that you made, traveling around the outside of it. It's always going to be a bigger perimeter. You'll never be able to make a smaller measurement around the outside of another measurement. Now, on the globe Earth, we're supposed to believe the biggest circumference that can be drawn on the face of the Earth is 25,000 miles in circumference. And then after that, the circles have to start getting smaller. That's when I finally realized that's crazy. Because if you were to go mark, like their latitude circles, if you were to go mark them on the surface of the Earth, you would see them getting bigger and bigger, because you would visibly see the amount of area that you're adding within each new circle. But when you make it down to the equator and you got that biggest circle, there's still a whole bunch more Earth beyond that. And you're going to be in the same situation as you were the whole time before that, where it's like you're stepping outside the perimeter that you just drew, and now traveling around in a circle, a big circle, and coming back to where you started, adding more area to what you had before. It's going to be the same situation. The circles just get bigger. I mean, I don't think it's about like whether you believe the Earth is a globe or whether you believe it's flat. I think it's just more about just reality. We have no reason to believe that the circles would ever start to get smaller. If people were to actually go and enact this thought exercise in real life, they'd be seeing the circles get bigger every time, because there's more area being added. It just makes perfect sense. Nobody'd ever expect the next circle to be smaller, because they see all the extra area that's being added in now. It's okay, here's the next biggest circle. It's every next circle you make is the biggest circle you've made. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You're never going to expect it to get smaller when you're busy doing the exercise. And you might realize at a certain point, you're like, man, our circle's like 50,000 miles around. How is this happening? We're supposed to live on an Earth with the biggest circle that's possible to make on the face of the Earth is only 25,000 miles around. But there's more Earth beyond that. How are you going to make a smaller perimeter around the outside of another one? There's some sort of like disconnect right there. I feel like people need to pay more attention to this argument because we know that Earth expanse only widens. Like a bigger piece of property is always going to have a bigger perimeter around it. And it just goes like that indefinitely until you run out of room. And that's just an obvious reality. For this circumference to have to start closing back up and then spit you out on the other end of the ball or whatever, you have to accept that on faith, because that's not something we can actually logically. We have to accept the Earth as being a globe before we can make that argument. Like, because that can be demonstrated on a globe, what I'm talking about, the circle's getting smaller. But like in our reality that we're experiencing here, like after you make that biggest circle on the globe, I guess that's when you have to start going upside down, or I don't know. But in reality, the reality of it is you're going to be stepping outside the last circle you made and traveling around the outside of it. It's always going to be a longer journey. It's always going to be a bigger circle. That's just logic. And like if you're busy doing that in real life, you wouldn't ever expect it to be smaller, because you'd see all the extra area that you added in. You know, it makes sense to me, but maybe I have a lousy time and I'm not doing well at explaining it or something, because most people just look at me with like a confused look on their face. It's like we've all been programmed to just think that the Earth is a globe and then try to fit our observations in with that paradigm, versus like just thinking about it objectively, where it's like if we didn't have that assumption already planted in our mind, like it wouldn't be something we would expect, or like we wouldn't, like if we're doing this thought exercise that I'm talking about, nobody'd ever expect to start making smaller circles after a while. Everybody would expect it to just get bigger indefinitely, because that's what logic dictates. That's what we'd witness, you know, and nobody would ever expect them to start getting smaller. Now, if that's if somehow that happened, I mean, I don't know how that would happen, really. I mean, that's how you would falsify flat Earth, but nobody's ever done that. Another way to falsify flat Earth would be to follow a meridian all the way until you come back around. I don't think that's been done yet either. It's been claimed to have been done, but once or twice or something. Meanwhile, we circumnavigate east to west, west to east, thousands of times a day. Well, whatever. I mean, that's the great circle routes are all east-west. None of them are north-south. And there's a reason for that. The way a compass is laid out is a great way to understand directionality and just the Earth. And so it's like a model, basically. It's like a compass is flat, for one thing. It depicts directionality on Earth and on a flat plane. A compass is flat, and the needle is straight. It's pointing to the north. It's a straight arrow. So north and south are straight lines. And a compass is how you make a circle. You know, you put the point down in the middle, and then you have the pencil on and then you make trace a circle around with the middle point. So like a compass implies circles. You're correcting to the north as you travel east or west. So you're making circles. East or west are circles. North, south, the needle is a straight line. It's pointing to the north. As you correct to the north, the other end of the needle is sweeping across the entire plane. It's pointing south. It's implying that south is the biggest circle, or the whole place. There's like a little spot in the middle of the North Hole, right where we're circling with this device. I mean, the compasses kind of blow my mind, really, how they work. And it's interesting that we don't have. I mean, I guess I've heard people make the argument that there are southern hemisphere circle or compasses, but I don't know if that's true. I want to grow tobacco. That's a good idea. You want me to play guitar? Kind of want them, but they're sawing and pounding over here and making a bunch of noise. It's kind of hard. There's always all this noise out here. You know what I might do? I'm going to take a little break and go eat some breakfast. Hopefully they'll make less noise later, and I'll come on and start playing some guitar. So if you see me streaming later, watch me. Come watch me. All right, I'm going to go for a while, though. I love you guys. Thanks for watching me and listening to my babble. It won't be the last you see of me, I tell you.